All right. All right, everybody, welcome to the Spurs and Spreads podcast again. We are real excited to be here. We got Mr. Chaz Brown and Patrick Castman with us as always. And look, guys, I don't know about y'all, but I'm real excited about our guest today. We've got two guys who have killed more turkeys than we can probably ever dreamed about. Okay, got recently inducted into the NWTF 2024 Grand National Calling Championship Hall of Fame, two-time turkey calling world champion, named top 10 sportsman of the U.S. in 1986 and 1989, man behind Eddie Salter game calls, and a turkey hunting legend, aka the man, Mr. Eddie Salter. Also with him, his right-hand man, Mr. Marc Brenner. He is owner of Outfitter Depot out of Birmingham, Alabama. And like I said, guys, these guys have killed more turkeys than we've ever dreamed of doing. So I can't wait to just dive in and hear some stories from these guys, just hear a little more about them. And we've got Mr. Eddie on the phone here. Mr. Eddie, you are live on the podcast. I got you on the phone, and Mr. Marc is right here. We're going to ask Mr. Marc a few questions, and we'll dive right in, and I'll dive. As soon as we get done talking with Mr. Marc, I'm going to dive in and start asking you some questions, Mr. Eddie, and we'll start talking turkey. How's that sound?
Hey, that's awesome.
All right, sounds good. All right, Chaz, I think you had a few things for Mr.
Yeah,
Marc.
yeah. I just kind of wanted to highlight Marc Brenner and what he does, and just let him tell about what his everyday is. You know, a lot of us we try to make it a year-round thing, but he
Mm-hmm.
definitely does. Managing others' properties, managing his own properties, predator management. I'm just gonna let him kind of tell us. He's with Outfitter. I'm gonna let Marc kind of just introduce himself and tell us what he does on a daily basis here around Birmingham, Alabama area.
Hey guys, I want to thank y'all first of all for having us on. Eddie and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with us, and we just appreciate having the opportunity to visit. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate all the kind words, and hopefully we can answer some of your questions and have a good conversation with you guys today. But all that said, Outfitters Depot. It's a multifaceted business. Our primary day-to-day operations focuses on recreational property development and maintenance. We also facilitate some marketing and sales with a couple brands within the outdoor industry, as well as we have a very close working relationship with Eddie Salter as well. Of course, he's like a godfather to us, and he and his family adopted Misty and I 12, 15 years ago, and it's been a life-changing experience. He's definitely the best friend I've ever had, and just a wonderful person. But neither here or there. Outfitters Depot, on a day-to-day, we never know what we're getting into with land management and development and maintenance. There's always something going on. So for us, what we do is more of a lifestyle than it is a job. A lot of folks don't realize, but when you're facilitating the type of the amount of acreage that we are for the different number of clients that we have, a lot of our programs are basically turnkey, and everything is a full service. So that being said, when we have inclement weather, we have, during times, tornadoes come through and things along those lines. Soon as the storm's done, just like the power crews and the utility crews, we have to get out and cruise our properties, make sure our roads are clear.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people don't see that side. That's the service that we provide for our clients, though, to make sure that that's taken care of. But as well as the hunting seasons, those are obvious, during turkey season, Eddie and I are pretty much up and at them every single day that we're not on the road, trying to facilitate a hunt somewhere with somebody. Eddie does a lot more on the production and the commercial side. I've kind of cut back a little bit on the commercial side, and going to be focusing a lot more of my efforts, working more closely back with Eddie and doing some other stuff as we go forward in different states and facilitating some Grand Slam opportunities, and I'm really excited about that. But Eddie and I are also working. We both co-chair on the board of directors for the Alabama Turkey Hunters Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We're to induct our very first class this June, in which Eddie will be part of that as well. So it's a big year for Mr. Eddie right there. So we're awfully proud of him and what he's accomplished, and his family and what they've accomplished. And either way, so we stay busy, Chaz, and Outfitters Depot. Whether it's facilitating some marketing and sales within within the outdoor industry, the hunting industry. Misty and I still travel and participate in a lot of trade shows. We travel a lot of the consumer shows with Mr. Eddie as well. Not quite as many as we had in the past, but still do a lot of that. And so, like I say, we stay busy, as it is.
Oh yeah.
We're always trying to stay honed in on our trapping efforts with our predators in trying to manage that.
I was teaching my little boy yesterday about that. We caught a bobcat and a coon. He got to go out there and had a big time. He got a good video of that too. It's real interesting.
A lot of folks don't realize how exciting it is, how educational it is for these next generation to get involved. And I've said this 100 times, but I wasn't the sharpest student in school, but I did pay attention enough that in algebra that they always said if you wanted to keep an equation balanced, whatever you did to one side, you had to do to the other. So
that's right.
Said, when you're taking resources, be it deer, turkey, ducks, whatever, you need to be keeping that equation balanced. You need to be pulling from those predators as well. And so anybody that wants to make a conscious effort on trying to help those turkey populations, right now is the time to be doing that by focusing on your nesting predators.
That's right. Yeah.
Deer hunters have all done us a big favor. They've been out there running their bait piles and their feed stations all year long, and everybody knows what happens, around the feeders is usually that's where your nesting predators, coons, possum stuff's going to habitate as well. So
that's right.
Focal points right now that are already existing to go in there and make a huge dent and make a big effect on those nesting predators.
Okay.
Sounds like y'all are full time busy this time of year. I know you got a lot going on with that. I mean, that's probably the main thing. Are you mainly focusing on the conservation of trapping right now? Or are you doing burning or anything like that? Or is it mainly, or a little bit of everything?
A little bit of everything. The properties that, unfortunately, a lot of the properties that I manage up here are corporate properties, and they don't allow burning, and that's just
okay. Yeah.
But there are other properties that do, and and wherever we can utilize that, I can tell you, prescribed burning is the most incredible tool that you can use, and I encourage most. If you're going to do it, try to get it done now.
Yeah.
And start sitting on the nest and I'm not a biologist. I'm not a professor or doctor. I just know what I know from experience. And I can tell you from seeing poults the first part of April last year, we had a very early spring.
Yeah.
Very early spring. Turkeys got bred, obviously,
We like to hear that. Yeah.
Now, Mark, ballpark is on the amount of acre. I heard you mention ballpark is on the amount of acres that you have under management right now.
Right now, we're about 6,000. I was up to 18,000 at one time. We've cut a lot of that back. Our business has actually grown inside of that acreage. And I know it sounds, how could that be if you've actually decreased acreage? But some of the clientele that we have, our services have increased with them to the point where that's about all we can facilitate without hiring a bunch of more people. And right now, you and I both know it's just really tough to find good help. The last guy that we hired, to give you put things in perspective for you, he lasted about 2 months.
Okay.
And it gets tough during the summertime when all the consumer shows are kicking off. And you got to travel June, July, August. during all that time. Plus, you've got to get ready for all of your, your fall maintenance and fall, planning and stuff like that. So you may have to work a few extra hours in there. And
Yeah.
what it is what I have to try to explain to everybody. Our life focus circles around that weather. I
Yeah.
can't
Oh yeah.
I can't control the weather, and it doesn't matter if storms are coming. I have to be ready for that. And that's just the nature of the business. I'm happy with it, but that's just what you have to do.
Now tell us a little bit about your most memorable hunt before we bring him on with Mr. Eddie Salter. Tell us a little bit about that one that comes to your mind.
The very first one that comes to my mind is my very first turkey to kill with him back in 2016. Actually, I'm sorry, it was 2014. We were in Kansas, and I had obviously, had filmed probably 100 turkeys dying with him by that point, and
Jeez.
and I had always taken for granted, when the opportunity came for me to hunt with him, whether Misty was with me or another marketing partner was with us or something, another special guest was with us. And I always passed along the opportunity, taking for granted that, hey, I'll always have a chance with Mr. Eddie. But then time snuck up on us, and here it was. I've been running with it for probably 7-8 years by this point, still had never killed a turkey with him.
How about say now? How many turkeys did you say that y'all had probably killed prior to that?
I'm just saying I had probably filmed a couple truckloads.
A couple truckloads, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's good stuff. Well, we may transition with Mr. Eddie right here on the phone right now. Is Mr. Eddie Salter, that turkey man himself? Now, bear with us, audience. We are on speakerphone, so we're going to ask him a few turkey questions. And Mr. Eddie, I know you can't hear what these guys are saying, so I'm going to communicate with you a little bit back and forth here, and we're going to make sure if they ask me a question, I'll try to relay that to you. Okay? How you doing today, Mr. Eddie?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Man. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mr. Eddie, we're really glad that you took your time and for us today to do this, and we really appreciate you and Mr. Mark doing. We know that you are, a turkey hunting legend, and we are just honored to have you here. So, well, let's just dive right in. You've been on hold, and let's start talking a little turkey. I've been dying to ask you a few questions, and one of the things that I wanted to dive in is all of us hunters right now, we're all getting excited, getting ready, doing conservation, burning, doing all those things, but all we can wait on is opening morning. We can't wait to get there. The sunrise coming up, that bad boy is gobbling his tail off. We're underneath him on the roost. What's your plan, Mr. Eddie? What are we doing? What's your game plan going into? What's plan A, B, and C?
Well, to start with, if I'm already set down on him right there, and I want to start him off, and I want to let him know, hey, I'm right over here. It's a hen right over here, 150 yards, 125 yards from him, and I want to see what kind of response that see if I can get his attention. But
Yeah,
I really don't want to start off, doing a bunch of aggressive type calling, and I think as hunters, we mess up too many times by getting out there and start hammering, cutting, and cackling and carrying on
yeah,
right off the bat while that turkey's still up in the tree and he's up there. And you got him gobbling so much he has to pick up the wing and wipe the sweat off his head, and he's just sitting there waiting on you to come to him. He said, "Man, that hen is so desperate. Hey, I'm gonna just sit here. She's gonna be here in a minute."
that's right.
But then you look at your watch later on, and it's gonna got to be 8:30, 9:00, and you've been making him gobble all this time. And I think that's some of our problem is we call too aggressive. Let me put it this way: while the turkey's on the roost, so a lot of times all I'll do is just I'll just start him off with some tree calls, and mainly that's all I use, so I get him off the limb. So I know, and sometimes you can't really tell when they come off the limb, but most of the time you can tell a little bit of change in a gobble, and you'll know when he hit the ground because he's not as loud as that he has been up in the tree. But
Yeah.
but what I'll do is I'll just I'll start him off just whispering a little bit, and then all at once he cuts me off. And boy, I tell you what, that gets me excited if I'm a caller and he cuts me off like that. I'm saying, oh, he liked that. That old gobbler said, oh, that hen, there she is over there. But then after that, after I get his attention and he knows I'm over there, I'll kind of let him gobble on his own if he's gobbling owls or crows or whatever. But as soon as he gobbles, just before he gets that last note out, when he gobbles, I'm already started back tree calling to him again. And that tree call is the first thing he hears, after he quits gobbling. And let me turn around and ask all the viewers and ask y'all too. If you call to a turkey, like I was talking about starting him off, and you call to him and he answers you, boy, doesn't that make you feel good as a turkey hunter?
Oh yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
And he's actually making a statement. If he cuts you off, especially the first time you call to him, if he cuts you off before you get through making them, it can be 8 or 10 little just bumping a call. That's all that hen's doing. And if he cuts you off, he's telling you he's very killable. If he's cutting you off, he's really telling you he wants to ride in that truck.
Let's take a ride in the truck, doesn't he? There you go.
He does. And but what and I know I'll give a long story right this, but what I really like to do is after that, after like I said, after that turkey gobbles, is cut him back off. I asked y'all the question that made you feel good. Well, what you think it's going to do to him when he hears a hen, cut him off right back before he, as soon as he gets to gobbling, that hen jumping on him, he's sitting up there, whoa, I think she likes me. And then all at once he gets excited and he pitches off the roost and hits the ground. So many times I may just lay my call down right there or like an old man told me years ago, say, hey, throw that thing about 10 yards over where you want call.
I've done that.
And you'll probably kill more turkeys that way.
I started killing a lot more turkeys when I took that advice right there. Just put the thing down, okay?
Yeah.
After you've cut him off, if you're doing just what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's one of the comments I've heard you speak on before, and that was something I knew you were going to talk about because I thought that was real interesting. How you get excited when he cuts you off, right? Yeah, that's what we live for.
Yeah.
My problem,
That's right.
and most hunters' problems. We just keep going, because it's exciting.
Let me say, I love to hear him gobble mine too,
Yeah.
And but now let me go back and I'm gonna finish this question up, and then maybe I'll hit him with some more.
Yeah.
But now I may tree call. I may answer him as many as 30 times, 15 to 20 or 30 times, but not no more than just a tree call. Now, not no cackles and not no cutting, and I'm just sitting there. That's all I'm doing. I ain't getting him so excited up there. I'm just tree calling to him.
Okay.
And then now when he hits the ground, it's a different thing, and we'll get into that a little bit. I will pick it up when he's on the ground a lot of times. Sometimes, I'll come down with a fly down cackle, and and that's a lesson in itself right there. Is a fly down cackle. When I used to contest call, a lot of times I'd go. I just keep on cackling, and really sounding like a hen's flying out of about a 1,000-foot cypress tree, and what happens is a hunter, if you do that long, drawed out cackle like I'm talking about, you just told that turkey you just flew about a half a mile over there on all that cackling. So what you want to do is just hit him with a few notes and shut up. Just suck down right there. Let him think that hen's just right there. Don't do that long, drawed off cackle
that
you see
great.
That you seen on contest calling, because they trying to call the judges right there. But we've all seen turkeys fly out in clear cuts, and they cackle all the way out there in the clear cut, or fly out of a big tall tree or whatever, fly out in the field. They'll cackle the whole way. And you just told that gobbler, you gone, basically.
God,
And
that's something I haven't thought about. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're telling him that you're down here in the bottom of this cutter. You just flew 300 yards when you're cutting that long. That's right. It makes total
that's
sense.
right.
When you cut short.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So just hit them shortcuts right there. And then I'll tell you now, I'm gonna go back. One thing about it now, y'all. What part of Mississippi y'all from?
Well, I live in Madison, Mississippi right now. Chaz is from Columbus, Mississippi, and Patrick originally is from Livingston, Alabama, but he lives in Caledonia, Mississippi. I'm originally from Woodville, Mississippi, down south area.
Liberty down that way.
That's right.
Where old Lynch used to be.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Boy, there's some tough turkeys down there. Some good turkey hunters down there.
There's a lot of turkey hunters.
When you get in the area where you've had a lot of good turkey hunters, it makes them tough. I think it's called pressure, and they've learned that they got a gene that's picked that up and is carried over with them. And some of the toughest turkeys in the world are, from that part of the country down there, and it bleeds over in Alabama too. And I was just in Corinth, Mississippi, this Saturday, and then I got to be in Red Bay, Alabama, this coming Saturday up there.
Yeah.
It's at Tiffin's. They got a big new store right up there, folks. If they can hear this, I don't know when you're going with this podcast, but if they can hear it, y'all come see me at Red Bay. But getting back to I was going to tell you last year, and I wanted to mention. Y'all got season coming in. Youth Day's going to be coming in Mississippi.
That's exactly right.
Ain't going to be 2 weeks. Ain't going to be 2 weeks, y'all. And I'm going to be hunting in Florida. I'm going to take my grandboys down there. But last year, opening day of Mississippi season, I was up. I went with some boys and we went up around Memphis, Tennessee. But we were in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And that morning it was so cold. I bet you it got down to 25 degrees that morning. We put the decoys out, and then when we picked them up, they had a coat of ice about a half-inch thick on them.
like your duck hunting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it can come in, and then frost can settle on them. But, I worked them turkeys. I cut to them, and I had them all fired up, and they come in there, and they needed to come, I don't know. Well, they were coupled. It was a pile of them. It was 7, 8 gobblers, and that was running together, and the boys had never killed a turkey, and I think maybe they moved. The turkeys got a little boogered, and they went off. And they went off out there about 150 yards and just screamed. And I bet we heard 20 turkeys gobble that morning. And then they got to fighting and carrying on. And, I sat there, and I couldn't never get them back. Every time I'd start to call, they'd gobble. And I said, what in the world am I going to do to break them in? And I'm bad about sometimes I'll take a slate and put it between the legs, and I'll take 2 strikers and I'll start doing a fighting purr on it, and then I'll take a mouth call and it'll sound like 3 turkeys fighting up there. And I whispered over and told that boy to take his hat off his head and start beating his legs. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, I think they'll do a fighting purr. And I started doing that, and I swear, about 9 of them gobblers rolled right back in there. They come in there about 20 steps, and the boys killed a double. But
wow.
I'd already tried everything in the world. So, hey, you got to keep an open mind, and what works one day, it don't mean it won't, it'll work the next day, just because it worked that day. But anyhow, that fighting purr, I was running them 2 calls with the 2 strikers and running my mouth call, and he was popping his leg without a hat. And, man, they broke and come, they wanted to get in that fight. So, especially that's something you may want to remember in the early season is, them turkeys are still breaking up pretty good. They're doing a lot of fighting. And it's a call that you don't want to overlook.
That was one question I was going to ask, and you kind of answered it right there. What happens early season? A lot of times these turkey hunters are, like, for instance, you mentioned youth real quick, too, that I'm taking my little boy out here in the next week or so. We got youth season. He's 7 years old. He's never killed, so my goodness, we should have some fun. But even yesterday, I had a little decoy out, and I was letting him shoot it, a little Jake decoy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and getting used to shooting his little 410 with his red dot and all that. But I actually purchased my first, his very first turkey call from you at the NWTF thing, and I bought it for him. And it's something that you signed it for me. I think it was the same day you got inducted into the Hall of Fame there.
It was.
And you know, I'm not gonna let him have it. I'm gonna keep it in the safe for him and give it to him, and kind of something to kind of heirloom and pass down. So we just telling that story. But I did have a question with that. I just wanted to bring that up. But I did have a question too. Like just say, you know, like we're starting youth season, early season. I know that you are a decoy guy, and a lot of people aren't. But I've used decoys. It's not because I don't. It's just because usually I don't like carrying them around half the time. But
That's
you know,
right.
what advice do you have for me taking my little boy out? What kind of decoy setup should I be looking at first, beginning of the season, early season?
Well, yes, sir. That's a good question, and you know, definitely the reason I like decoys, it ain't so much because I grew up in Alabama. We wasn't able to use them up to but a few years ago.
Oh, really?
And yeah, in Alabama, you know, we were the last state to be able to use decoys.
Okay.
But you know, the thing I like about them is it takes so much pressure off your hunter, especially a youngster like that, and you know, they can just, you know, you can take your time and make sure that they own the turkey and everything. And, you know, I had a 4-year-old last year, and we set him up on a cogwheel. You know, it's a tripod type that would hold your shotgun and with a little 410.
Yeah.
And had a scope on it. And he sat right in there. But, of course, now his daddy actually, you know, got one of them phones where you could hook it up and, you know, it would match your scope with your phone right there. And he could sit with the phone.
That's pretty interesting.
And get him real close right there, and get him real close. And then he tell the little boy, you know, my little grandson looked through the scope. He said, "Do you see him real good?" And of course he could tell on his phone that he had the crosshair dead on him. And he said, "Well, pull the trigger." Boom! And he shot twice last year and killed 2 different turkeys at 4 years old on that tripod.
At 4 years old, my
4.
gosh.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Adam, you
And
think
so,
we need to get one of those for
but, you know,
Chad?
get them in a blind and actually to answer your question, I mean, there's several good decoy companies out there. The 2 I like is like a David Smith, and I like a Avian X. And the reason I like it is the head coloration on a Jake so good. And that's what I recommend is a Jake. And I recommend just a hen too, you know. But if I had to go with just one, it would be a Jake. Strictly, they gonna come in there. I think it's the color of the head. You know, it's kind of whitish, bluish, and real deep. You know, got a good red color to it. And them turkeys, you know, they can't handle it. When they see all that color on that head, they gonna come in there and they gonna want to knock the taste out of his mouth. And
well, I'm going to use that exact same setup, and I hope that I'm sending you a picture on opening morning here, March 8th, of my little boy who is eat up with everything there is to do right now.
Okay, well, let me tell you now, when you were talking about shooting a decoy, now, what I done was I actually took a steak and a regular Coca-Cola can, a red Coca-Cola can, and I'd put it out there about 20 yards. And I wouldn't put it, you know, right off the bat where he could just have his gun right dead on it. I'd put it 2 or 3 foot over, and I would make them. I've done this with my daughter. I would make her, well, she had her gun on her knee then, but I would make her move her gun, you know, about 4 or 5 foot to get on that can. And then when she got where she could move over there, and I said, well, now shoot it about as quick as you can. She'd move over there, take that gun, and move there and get where she could knock that Coca-Cola can off. And then she was ready to go hunt.
Now you're ready to go, man. That's some great advice. You know, I'm learning how to train him, I guess, is what
yes, sir.
And we've killed deer. You know, he killed 4 this year, his first time ever. And he's eat up with everything. He can't wait. He's like, "Dad, when we gonna go kill a turkey? When we gonna kill it?" That's all he wants to hear, you know. And I'm like, "Son, it's a little harder than you think, but we're gonna try. We're gonna give it heck. But that's some great advice. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna line that up with the red Coke can.
Do it with number 8 shells too. I mean, do it with a light load.
Oh yeah. We're doing dove shell right now.
Do it with a light.
We'll sneak that turkey load in. Go ahead.
Yeah, we took a little girl hunting, I think it was about 5 years ago in Florida, and it was some guys that took her out the day before, and they shot shells and And they said, she's ready now. Well, when we got down there to go out the next morning, I called up several water gobblers come in there, and she never did shoot them. And I didn't know what was going on. And come to find out, she was crying that they practiced with regular turkey load shell, and it beat her up so bad. She did not want to pull the trigger because she was scared. Her shoulder was hurt so bad.
I don't blame her. Heck, I'm like that sometimes.
I know it. So anyhow, if you let them enjoy it, and that's what's good about a blind, that you can carry them something to eat in there and something to drink, and they can enjoy the hunt. That's what we got to do is, where they have fun, promote it where it's fun.
That's right. I talk about that a lot. I know me and the guys are big promoters about taking the kids, and that's a thing where I always say, turkey hunters and really hunters in general, we're a dying breed right now, and I feel like we need to take them. We need to teach them. We need to encourage them and make it fun. So, yeah, that's awesome. And I do want to ask one more thing because I know your time's limited.
I'm good.
I heard a story that you told me, or not you didn't tell me, but you were telling a video on about how you got access when you were a barber, how you got access to hunting these farmers' turkey land. And I was telling Chaz about it this morning, and he started laughing. I said, I got to get him to tell how he would ask for farmers' permission.
Well, one thing, if I'd already been cutting their hair, and if they were a big landowner or a farmer, they would come in there, and first of all, I'd ask somebody want their haircut, and they'd say, well, cut it like you did last time, son. And I said, yes, sir. And I'd start cutting the hair. And about halfway through the haircut, I'd ask them, I said, you been seeing any turkeys on your place out there? And if they said yes, well, then I started smiling then. I said, oh, yeah, I got me one now. Anyhow, I'd get through cutting their hair, and then back then, we were old-fashioned, and we used straight razors to shave the hair, the little fine hair around the neck and right around the ears out there to clean it up, make it look good. But we used like a soapy water in a little machine that wasn't quite as big as a cigar box. You could pour that water in there, and it would heat it up, and it'd run all over your hands. So I'd put soapy foam all over the ears and neck, and then I'd break that straight razor out. And I always let them look at me. I had a razor strap on my barber chair, and I'd pull it up there and take that straight razor, make sure they seen me sharpen it up real good, and then I'd start shaving around the ears, and then I said, well, we were talking turkey a while ago, and I asked you, if you seen any turkey, and by this time I'm on his right ear, and I got that razor right on top of his ear, and I said, you think is any way possible I can come go turkey hunt? I never did get turned down.
You never got turned down.
That razor will get you in a lot of places to go turkey hunting.
Oh, God.
And I tell you, all honestly, I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't had plenty of places to go turkey hunting because I messed up a bunch, and it was, I always had another place I could go to. And you can't have too much turkey ground. Let me say that. So that helped me. That helped me a pile right there.
That's
so
exactly.
Good Lord, let me become a barber. He helped me out.
Man, I tell you had some salesmen in you, didn't you? Got to be a salesman to do it, don't you? We all come from a sales background, and we recognize that how you plant the seed there at the beginning, and you close the deal with the razor.
Hey, ask Eddie what age he became full-time turkey.
And I actually made mouth calls and sold them, and with some other stuff, I sold them in my barbershop right there. And, so
now, Mr. Eddie, Chaz is asking me something here. What'd you say, Chaz?
When did he become full-time turkey?
When did you become full-time turkey? Like, what age did you did it really start sinking in where you become full-time turkey?
I was kind of like your boy right there. I really got to paying attention to turkeys when I was 6 and 7, 8, somewhere in that neighborhood. Wasn't turkey hunting then, but I was squirrel hunting. I learned a lot of lessons out there in the squirrel woods, and I think that's where we need to take a lot of these kids today is get them out there and get them in the squirrel woods. But anyhow, I grew up on a farm, and like I said many times, I'd be out there, trying to catch a school bus in the morning and hear an old owl. And a turkey would gobble while I'm waiting to get on the school bus. I could hear him across the road right there. It was a cow pasture, and, he would gobble at them old owls, and I've heard him even gobble at cows. He would be gobbling at anything that made a noise, but that's what got me started was turkeys, hearing them gobble, and then watching them, watch them early in the morning out there when I didn't have to go to school. I'd watch them in the field, and then I was lucky enough to kill one when I was around 10. But now we bushwhacked him. We didn't call him up. I sat by, and he walked by me, and I killed him. And, of course, my daddy was on the other end of the field calling, and we'd figured them out that you call to them, they'd go the other way, And
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
after we hunted them, 3 or 4 weeks, Dad said, well, look, you go down on this the lower end of the field, and if they do like they've been doing, they'll walk on top of you. And sure enough, the only thing is that morning we swapped guns out. I used an old Remington, like I think it was a 48 model. It was an automatic, and I had it sitting on top of an old log, and I was just kind of balled up in there behind that log, and then here the old gobbler come in there, and he got in there about 30 yards, and I pulled the trigger on him, and he had a bunch of hens with him too, but I think it was 15 minutes before I realized I'd killed a turkey. That thing about knocked me smooth out. But, I've been shooting a 410. I hadn't been fooling. That's the first time I think I'd ever even shot that 12 gauge. But it didn't matter because I had a turkey. So that was the only thing.
Yeah, when he's flopping, I tell you, I find that it doesn't the adrenaline pumping through your body can lessen the load on a turkey on the punch.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I'll tell you, but the main thing is just, like I tell everybody, it's youth season's going to be coming up. And if you don't have a kid, go borrow one from somebody. Get them out there in the woods because, like we said, we losing hunters left and right.
That's right.
And we need we need a bunch of these young hunters. And actually, I've seen a lot of women get involved in this sport too lately. And, I took an 80-year-old man hunting, come out of Pennsylvania one day, and his son wanted me to carry his daddy hunting, never killed a turkey. And I called up one, and he killed it. And I brought the turkey over there and looked at him. And, and he was moving. I was sitting right beside him, and he looked like that gun barrel was a figure 8. And I told him, I said, man, just hold on now. Don't move quite as much. I said, it ain't nothing but a turkey. And but he killed it, and I brought it back to him, and I looked up, and the old man was crying. He had tears rolling out his eyes. I said,
oh, that's special.
I said, you ought to be happy. He said, son, I am happy. And he just said, this is my first turkey right here, and I'm 80 years old. And he said, my life is gone. He said, why didn't I start hunting turkeys 40 years ago? And, about made me cry then, thinking about, well, hey, I've been blessed to be able to hunt them all my life. And I know right where he's coming from because he ain't going to have many more years that he can even go turkey hunting. That's right. Get these folks out there and introduce it to them. But if you got a kid, if they sit between your legs, just talk to them. Tell them it ain't nothing but a turkey, and just talk to them when that turkey's coming in. So just take your time now. Don't get no hurry and all that. And, but don't dare get on them if they miss a turkey. You don't want to do that because believe it or not, if you get to talking to them about missing one, it won't be long, you'll be missed one. And,
yeah, we know about that. Yeah. No, you're right. You don't want to push them off. And that's something, you just telling that story kind of brings, I guarantee you anybody that's turkey hunted, it brings the passion right back in. You talking about the man even tearing up. You about had you about pulled some tear jerks out of us too. I could tell, everybody the passion comes right in because we love it too. And you go that long. So we're big proponents about pushing the game. I know I really like hearing you say that. There was one other thing. Oh, and you talk about women. I actually saw an episode. I think you were with Tiffany. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Lakowski. Yeah. Man, that was a great hunt. My gosh, y'all fanned them in. And I think Mark was with them. And I heard you tell the story about, I think Mark, you didn't hear it earlier, but Mark was telling about the first turkey you called in for him. And I'd heard you telling her a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that first turkey you called in for Mark.
Well, actually, we were out. I didn't really realize that. Me and Mark had hunted, with other people, and he'd run the camera and all that, and we'd killed a pile of turkeys together. And but we come up on that turkey there, and we got set up, and I called him in, and we had a little bit of time getting in, but we did get him, and then Mark killed him, and then we went back, and Mark was crying with me, man. I said, come on, man, what's wrong? He said, man, that's the first turkey I ever killed with you. And I said, well, that ain't no big deal. But he said, yeah, but it is to me. And
You darn right.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I mean, it just
Oh,
really
yeah.
is.
I was just, after I thought about it, then, I seen where he was coming from. And it was an honor for me, and because, of course, I love him to death, but it's an honor for me to, hunt with anybody. I enjoy, I know I look back at, he got Ben Roger Lee and all these old-timey folk around and about. Man, I'd about give my right arm to go in the woods with them, And I was at camp with Ben, but we never did hunt together. We were at camp together. As a matter of fact, one of them Allison boys was down there that got killed in a helicopter wreck. He was hunting with us, and we enjoyed that. And but it was I just wanted to go learn. That was my biggest problem was, and now today it ain't quite that. It ain't that hard to get into turkey hunting, but it's still a learning curve. It's a lot you got to learn about it. And but back when I was coming up, it wasn't no VCRs, there wasn't no videos, and the thing that helped me the most was my mother knew that I loved turkey hunting, and she bought me some tame turkeys. And I learned to call and hearing them turkeys call, and that's where I learned to call from, turkeys herself. And, right now I wouldn't have it no other way, but it was a learning curve, and boy, I sure made a lot of mistakes coming up. And my daddy wasn't no turkey hunter either. He was, me and him was about in the same boat. Neither one of us knew anything about it.
Well, I can relate to the learning curve as well. Actually, you talk about calling in turkeys. That's something that I didn't realize was as much fun as it is. Chaz, actually, the other host here, Chaz Brown, who Mark knows real well, he actually called in my first turkey ever. So he got me addicted into the thing, and I can tell you that was an experience I'll never forget. We actually doubled up that day, so it was amazing. And then I got to call in a guy's first turkey too after that, just being able to pass that on. It's kind of amazing what it's grown into now. Now we go all over the country together. We hunt. It really has brought us closer together, and we've met a lot of interesting people, just like we're talking to you too, and that have taught us. We just try to take one little thing from everybody and learn all the time. But just because I want to respect your time, I got one last thing that I'd like to ask about what's the best turkey hunt that you can think of that you've ever been on? What's the most memorable one that you've been on?
Well, the one that I remember most was when I took my daughter hunting. And we had an old boy from down in you were talking about Mississippi down there, Dale Fowles. He was from that part of the world. Now, you ever heard of Dale?
I've heard the name. Yes, sir. I've heard the name.
He actually worked with Alan Jenkins with Liberty down there. At Liberty down there with Lynch down there, and I got to know him, and he was running a camera for us that morning, and we had an old turkey just screaming that morning, and at that time, she had never called a turkey up. We were hunting, she had never killed a turkey, and we were hunting in Planty Pines, and the turkey didn't come down the road that we were ready. Waiting for him to come down, hoping he'd come down, and he come down the opposite. And he got in there about 25 steps and just stepped over, right in our lane just about. And then I was telling her to shoot. And the turkey, and he turned and he started walking off, and I asked her, well, why didn't you shoot? And she said, well, Daddy, you were hollering, shoot. Said, you had me so messed up, I didn't know what to do. And I said, well, okay, I'm sorry, baby. And so we were going on up the hill there. And she said, Daddy. And I didn't say nothing. She said, Daddy. I said, okay, what? She said, I got to come clean with you. I said, about what? She said, a while ago when that turkey come in there, said, it wasn't you, it was me. I couldn't find the safety on the gun. I didn't want to take. So the turkey had her so messed up she couldn't find the safety. And then we went to another place, and actually just, I didn't really realize it, but it was a place, one of my favorite places to go, and I got out there, and I cut one time, and I told her, I said, I think I heard a turkey gobble. I said, did you hear him? She said, no, I didn't. I said, well, listen good, and I cut again, and sure enough, he gobbled up there, and I said, there he is right there. So I said, let's walk on around up here and get up here on this old edge of this road right here. It was coming off of a pond dam, and so anyhow, we got up there, and I said, we better check that turkey. And I called him, and he wasn't, he was right there on top of us
Yeah.
Man, we couldn't get head nets or gloves or whatever situation. But finally, we sat down, and I told her, I said, it was a beautiful dogwood tree blooming over the edge of the road there. And I said, when that turkey gets to that dogwood tree right there, I said, you kill him. I said, no, I'm not going to tell you when to shoot or nothing. It's all on you. You shoot him. And sure enough, that old turkey come walking up. We could see him walking about 15 yards. He walked up under that dogwood tree just like he was supposed to. And she killed it. And this about made me cry right here anyhow. But, and I was sitting there thinking, and then I kind of got to crying. And she said, what are you crying for, Dad? And I realized my daddy had shot a turkey 10 yards from right there, his last turkey.
No kidding.
And so, yes, sir.
My God.
So, first turkey and last turkey. So that was pretty good right there.
That is.
Where's it going? Don't get any better than that.
It doesn't. That's what Chaz just said, and I was about to say it. It doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely.
That is some good stuff, Mr. Eddie. We really appreciate that conversation.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all, and I hope I ain't been, talking too much. I get excited and get carried away and get to telling stories, but hey, that's what it's all about, right
Mr.
there.
Eddie, you talking to three guys who love to talk, and we love to talk turkey. So it's not we are trying to soak in every word you say right now. So
I appreciate that. Maybe next time we won't have so much problem with the phone. Maybe I can get it figured out, and we'll get where we can hear everybody. But God bless y'all, and hopefully y'all have a successful hunt here in the next few days.
Yes, sir.
We'll be listening out. Maybe we'll get a chance to do this again. Okay.
Man, I'd love to do it again,
Thank
Mr. Eddie.
you.
We appreciate you coming on. They're telling you thank you. And I'll tell everybody where they can get your game calls at turkeyman.com. Eddie Salter Game Calls. He does everything from mouth calls to box calls to slate. I actually got the new slate call. I love that thing. For my little boy. So.
That's awesome. And that's a good call too.
Yeah, it was so easy to use. I was like, I'm buying this, and then immediately it hit me. I said, let me get him to sign it. This one's going to be my little boys. We're going to do that. So anyway, all right, I'll get on a tangent all day. We'll never go. Look, Mr. Eddie, again, we can't tell you how much we appreciate your time.
Yeah, buddy. Well, y'all have good luck, and talk to me again. All right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Eddie.
Yes,
Be
sir.
safe traveling.
Yes,
I know you're on the road.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man.
Hey, Brenner.
Yeah.
I just wanted to spin off that, and I was telling Adam about how you've turned your wife into a turkey killer, and she does all your social media and marketing. Pull up that picture.
I'm working on it now.
From Mitzi.
There we go.
Yeah.
Get the daggers on that one.
Fun. Doubled up that day. Caught in 4 strutters. It was
4 strutters. No kidding. Look at the hooks on that thing.
That's what
Hey, that's a
gosh.
freaking hook.
How big was it? How long were the hooks on that?
1.5
Inch and a half. Man, that is something.
Yeah, we've been blessed. She killed several 1.5 inches, and I have as well. We just been blessed to hunt some older turkeys. It's like big deer. They don't usually get big without several birthdays.
No, not without several birthdays. That's right. So, Mark, you grew up around the Birmingham area. Is that right?
Trustful area.
Yeah.
Okay, just right outside of. I got you over there where Chaz is now, and so that's where you grew up learning the turkey woods and.
I grew up learning the turkey woods down in West Alabama.
Okay.
Hunting down around Belmont.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my old neck of the
I was
woods.
about to say that's your area, isn't it,
Sumter
Patrick?
County boy.
Yeah.
Any damn turkey in the world, and that turkey right there, he's a beast. But you got the Mossy Oak boys and a lot of the Primos boys. You got of course all the turkey thugs. I mean. I don't know of another area in the country that's more commercialized than the West Alabama.
Yeah, that's where they all hunt, right? That's where
We
what
were
I tried
talking about that the other day, Patrick, about like so many entrepreneurs in this industry comes from right there, and now you see like Dave Owens and Pinotti and them ended up down there with a bunch of the guys we know. I mean they're good. They're good. It's tough turkey.
That swamp turkey, he's a mess. He's a mess. I'd rather hunt any other turkey in the world but him.
That's what some guy
Patrick's
ran
got a
into.
hunting club full of them things.
Yeah. Full of those. Yeah.
I mean, I know they're a challenge, but these hill turkeys, I believe, I mean, I don't like rolling the hills, but having to climb up and down those hills like I used to when I was a lot younger. But now I've just, be honest with you, I try to spend more time this time of year doing homework, actually, feet on the ground. People laugh all the time when they get in my truck and they see the old cigarette lighter in there, or it's not a cigarette lighter now. It's a 2013 model Toyota Tacoma. It doesn't have an ashtray, but that plug in, it's got two accessory plugs.
Yeah.
And in one of them, I keep a crow call in there.
Okay. Oh, you keep it in there. That's where you sit it.
Okay. That's the crow call spot.
Yeah. I always got one,
Yeah.
Got one. So this time of year, and it's not too early, but this time of year, I try to go out and I start identifying roosting zones. Y'all, saying?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we all need to be doing right now.
More homework you do, the more enjoyable and more successful your hunts are going to be, or at least for me. I was never that guy that could just step out of the truck and, sit down and kill one. It seems like I always had to work a little extra for mine, but it is what it is. But for me, I do a lot of preseason scouting, a lot of homework, count on trail cameras. And, and I'm going to tell you, a lot of people ask me about preseason, feeding and things along those lines. And I will tell you, when I hunted in areas that had a lot more competition around me, I didn't have a choice but to run preseason surveys and do that.
Okay.
Now, I don't do much of that. I literally just try to identify them with their natural, surrounds. Everything's just pure. And if I can identify their roosting zones, their strutting zones, their feeding areas, and I can be where I know they want to be, I've got to beat them at half their game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, respectfully, I bet I don't walk as much as you guys do. I don't walk as much in one season as you guys probably do in 2 hunts.
Yeah, Adam put some miles on them boots.
I have learned to be, what Chad said last year. He's like, I'm not turkey hunting. I'm just bird watching out here. I'm bird listening.
Well, I mean, Chaz, this up here in my part of the country, you try to run and gun on these birds, you're going to be climbing some mountains.
Yeah, me and Chaz had that experience last year when I came to up to Alabama, where around Trussville area.
Man.
And buddy, it's different. My biggest issue with the hill birds is I feel like judging the distance is different because you got this echo coming in from the bottom or off the backside of this, what I call a mountain, because in Mississippi, those are mountains. I don't, but I mean, I feel like we were running in circles with this turkey.
You may have a series of ridges that you have to overcome. And if you get a bottom and you got a ridge that goes down into that bottom, off of that ridge, you could have several fingers.
Yeah.
And that's where
finger ridge.
But I like to get on that main ridge line.
Okay.
And Eddie will tell you this. I've gotten real bad about this because I've not only do I have a lot of very good close friends in Millennium, but they blessed us with these really, really comfortable Turkey Pro seats.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not doing product shout outs right here. I'm just saying.
No, it's fine. They're Mississippi guys, I believe. The Millennium guys are. They're right here. Yeah.
I can get my turkey chair. I can get comfortable. I can put on a good leafy suit with Titan leafy suits. I love using the decoy set as well. For me, I look at it with a duck hunter's attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys all probably duck hunt, right?
Oh, yeah. A little bit. We dabble. So
let me ask you this. How many times have you ever gone duck hunting and not used a decoy?
Never.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
I don't want to get into the argument of decoys or no decoys. Like Eddie said, we were born and raised right here in Alabama. We weren't allowed to use decoys up ago. But let me tell you something.
I don't understand why people have a problem with it anyway. I don't get what your beef is. Like I guess strutting, maybe I could see their argument, but I mean, what do you mean you can't use a hen decoy and a Jake decoy? What's your deal? It's not. Anyway, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
Oh, to me, it's not my place to judge or criticize
No.
about what somebody does or doesn't do. I just know that when I am going to be if I'm spending my time in the woods, I want to give myself every advantage I can.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to take at least 3, if not 4 decoys in the woods, and I've always got a Jake. Usually a Jake, 2 feeding or a lookout hen, and then I put a hen underneath the Jake. And what I try to do is create the largest field of view. This is where you got to utilize your woodsmanships and your experiences of calling in turkeys. They're going to come in traveling the path of least resistance.
That's right.
Fed, whether it's through a field, whatever, fire break. So you want to try to utilize that to incorporate your setup. Setup is key. But what I'm trying to do is I want to give him the best opportunity to see at least one of my hen decoys as quick as possible. In my calling series, I've already been telling that gobbler that there's a party going on around here, and guess what? You. And I've gotten real bad about doing sequences of calling utilizing my diaphragm and a pot call, and I will do that simultaneously for 2 or 3 series, and then all of a sudden I like to throw in a gobble or 2 or 3.
You just throw it in? I mean, is there any time where you're specifically saying, I'm about to gobble?
When I'm cutting with both of my calls and I'm showing the excited hen and maybe even going into a fighting purr and all of that kind of stuff, absolutely. I throw in a gobble, even a double gobble. I throw in the excitement, and I want to let that gobbler know that, guess what? There is a party going around here, and you're not.
There you go.
Knowing that he's coming in looking, I want him to see a hen as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt my feelings that long after he sees that hen, he sees a Jake on top of another one of his hens.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. The party's on now. And I will say this, especially with kids, man, when you got that type of scenario, that gobbler is now, his full attention is locked onto that decoy.
Mm-hmm.
That kid is going to have a lot better, opportunity. It's going to be a lot more forgiving hunt. And to be honest with you, it's good. The hunter's going to have a better show. He's going to see what those turkeys naturally do.
That's something to see, though. Like, I think that's something a decoy, like, hunter gets to experience and no one else, if you don't really get to experience that. But I mean, I've seen these guys just strutting around, going around my Jake decoy, just fighting the Jake decoy. Yep. I've seen other Jakes come up to it. That's fun to watch, and they just team up on this other one.
Yeah, team of Jakes.
Yeah, that's fun to watch, and they start strutting, and then it's just. And with a kid, yeah, I definitely think it's something. I think you were talking about the gobbler. All his focus is on the decoy, where there may be a little more leeway for the kid to get his gun up or to move, or a little more, not much, but a little more. Yeah,
I agree. And Eddie brought up another point: blinds.
Oh yeah,
I cater to a lot of older hunters as well that are late 70s, early 80s. They can't run and gun anymore, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that if I'm still around at 80 years old, I hope I can still get out and even get in a blind.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to go and listen to the turkey. All of us are just passionate. It makes our day just to hear the turkeys gobble.
Yeah.
How months have we been on that we're walking back to the truck, hanging our head, dragging our feet, couldn't even buy a turkey gobble. You couldn't even buy a gobble. You couldn't make one gobble. Heck, just a courtesy gobble. I said I like to take usually 3 or 4 decoys, with me.
Mm-hmm.
I like to make a blind. I go back to old school. One thing that people ask me all the time: what's one of the most important things that you can take or have in your turkey vest? That most hunters wouldn't think about, and for me it's a pair of good snips.
Yeah, me too. That's the one thing I've got to have. Mouth calling some snips.
And you'll never hear a biologist tell you that privet hedge is good, and I understand it's very invasive.
Mm-hmm.
It also makes very, very good nesting habitat, or not nesting habitat, brooding habitat. I'm sorry. Very good brooding habitat because poults, they know, can start getting up off the ground as early as 8 to 10 days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you got privet, you can imagine it's got not only good low understory that they can roost in, also provides good aerial cover from your aerial predators, like your raptors.
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think a raptor or owls, hawks, and all that make a big deal out of the poults, but they really do. They really do. So, I definitely don't go out and start planting privet anywhere. But if you can manage it and help with your habitat, that can play big dividends. But going back to the privet, I like to use that, to help create a blind. And for me, and here we were talking about doing homework earlier, and I've got a bad habit running a lot of these cameras anymore. But when you're doing it every day like we are, you got to count on you need all the help and I need all the eyes and ears you can get. If I can look up on my camera and I know in a certain strutting zone or a certain area, there's a turkey usually strutting in there about 8 o'clock every daggone morning. You know what? I am not going to worry about the roost. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find that area. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take me some privet and I'm going to make me a blind. I'm going to get me one of them chairs and I'm going to go in there at daylight and I'm going to go get comfortable and make sure I'm there before he is.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. A buddy of mine was teaching me how to turkey hunt, told me that. He said, it's not that hard. Just get where they want to be. And I'm like,
right.
Where the hell is that?
You know
We're
what?
addicted.
And I believe that's the most important factor. If you can be where they want to be, you've got half the battle beat.
That's right.
Already want to be there. Now they, they're not there. Typically, I feel like that old turkey, he's going to gobble on the limb. He's going to assemble all of his hens on the ground. And over the next hour or so before he goes to that strutting zones, he's going to breed those hens.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Brenner, how many hundreds of turkeys does it take to see die before you can just not be hard-headed and go do what you're talking about doing? Because that's hard. That's hard for me.
Chaz, I'll be honest with you. I'm the worst when I got somebody with me.
Yeah, I say that.
I'm trying to rush it.
Yeah, because it's usually a commercial type situation. And the hardest thing I have is convincing my hunters to be patient. Patience kills more turkeys than anything else. And it's their lack of patience for the other things that we talk about for the hens, to say it the right way. Keep everything in color here. But the P word is what kills more turkeys than anything.
That's why we kill them. That's right.
Patience. And so if you go back to doing your homework and if you can get where where they want to be and you can be patient. And some people say, you know what, I'm not going to deer hunt a turkey. Do you want to kill a turkey or you want to play chase?
Yeah.
I think part of being a good turkey hunter is knowing when, what, where, and how.
That's right.
You've got to be able to adjust. So if you don't want blisters on your heels, walking up and down these hills and hollers, chasing every turkey that's gobbling over that next ridge, then figure out where they want to be. Figure out where they're wanting to feed at. It's some. And here's the deal, guys. You don't have to kill him off the roost. You got all day to hunt.
They're on the ground all day long.
And here's something else. A boy sent me some pictures yesterday. He had a gobbler with like 15 hens. And he was like, man, look at this turkey, blah, blah. I said, well, that's a turkey I don't want to hunt right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? I'm like, you got 15 hens you got to compete with. What makes you think you got a big?
How am I going to convince him that I'm better than those over there?
And, respecting conservationists, you really don't want to hunt him anyway. That's your boss hen that's breeding the bulk of
breeding the hens.
Let him do his thing.
That's
and
right.
here's the deal. I've got a 3 and out rule. I'm going to hunt a bird 3 times and I'm done with you. If I hadn't killed you within that third time, I'm done with you. How many times have we gotten, all of us are guilty of this, especially earlier, in our careers.
Educated them.
We got hung up on one turkey most of the season because the average turkey hunter is only going to get 10 days in the woods if he's lucky.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Spend it chasing one stubborn
Yeah,
bird.
because you keep working the stubborn birds, he gets a name, right? And when you're hunting a bird with a name, you just need to go somewhere else because he.
The best advice I can give anybody about hunting birds right off the roost, I'm really bad about it, especially in new properties. But if I go out in the morning times, this is one of the primary reasons I like to be out there to listen to the birds gobble on the roost, is I like to be able to drop a pin or try to get as close proximity as I can and drop a pin on a map to where I feel like the turkeys are gobbling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once I evaluate that, I can sit there and I can analyze, okay, what turkey do I feel like is the most desirable to go try to get on right now? Then we'll try to get on that turkey. And if we can kill him, great. If we don't kill him, a lot of times Misty and I will literally back out, and we're bad about going to a local Jack's and getting a biscuit.
That's how we killed my first turkey right there in the Chaz. Went ate breakfast and went back. Knocked 2 out.
Somebody like Eddie would be like, son, you can't kill him eating biscuits. Well, my stomach's growling so loud that the daggum turkeys hear it either. No. What it does for me, it gives me a separation for just a minute. It allows me to just, take a break. I'm going to sit there, have me a cup of coffee. A lot of times early season is nice to warm up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a time to evaluate what all I just heard and what I learned for over that last hour.
What you just said is something that is the biggest lesson that I learned in the turkey woods. Was at the end of every single turkey hunt. My turkey hunt mentor said, well, what'd you learn? Every time ask yourself, what'd you learn today? Because what it does is it makes me go back and think about what I actually learned today. It makes me actively think about what I'm learning. It makes me be intentional about what I'm doing, what the turkey's doing. Every single time I leave, like, what'd you learn today? And sometimes I'm like, I don't know.
A lot of the times, if you sit and think about it like that, like when you go before work and you get to work, and you say, I just screwed up everything. You know what I'm saying? Like you messed up everything. Everything you did, you screwed up that morning,
Yeah.
I mean,
but if you didn't learn from it, if you didn't think like, well, what did I learn? Otherwise, it's just a real frustrating experience.
Yeah.
And it's something that kind of, if it was easy, it wouldn't be fun. But I mean, what you said,
got a pretty good biscuit.
Jack's got a pretty good biscuit. You start thinking about that.
And that's for Misty and I. That's kind of the joke. Let's just go get us a biscuit. And I can promise you, we have watched a lot more turkeys die on the other side of the biscuit than we have on the front side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It works for us, not that we do that every single time, but something else I'll touch on that we get asked a lot, and I'll say it this way. If I had to count on a gobbling turkey to pay my bills, I'd be broke.
There you go. Yeah.
So how you turkeys? Homework.
That's right. Homework.
Ready to go right now.
So what we learned from this conversation so far has been do your homework. That's exactly right.
This is the time to be doing it while you're out checking your traps. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to giving back and what we can do to help. And the thing about it is we need to target those nesting predators right now because we know our hens are going to be going on the nest over the next couple of weeks.
That's right.
That's right.
So while you're out checking your traps in the early morning hours, guess who else is starting to get their party started?
Mm-hmm. The turkeys. So
now when you're out checking traps, you're listening to hear, you're starting to identify those roosting, where those turkeys starting to roost. And then furthermore, with the data that you're getting from your cameras now tells you where those turkeys want to be at during the day for their strutting zones.
That's right.
So
And
start,
that's the name of the game. Know where they want to be.
and anytime you can get anywhere they want to be, then that will help you, increase your odds. But don't get discouraged if the turkeys aren't gobbling. You can't say, well, they're not huntable today. No, it's
They're
time
still doing something. Yeah.
they're there. I promise you, they're there. You just got to figure out where
Yeah,
they're.
that's one thing I remember Chaz teaching me when he started taking me, because I screwed up 20 hunts before I ever started killing turkeys, and or more than 20, but a lot. And Chaz was like, look, a turkey is during the daytime, they're always on the ground. They're on the ground all day. They're somewhere. We just have to figure out where they're going and where they are, where they're at. And,
That's what attracts me to turkey hunting way more than a deer, because
yeah,
hey, they got to fly down from that roost, and they're going to be there. And guess what? It's not going to be your phone pinging at midnight that he's there.
yeah, it's
You
not. They're
know,
not.
if you're in
They're not nocturnal.
daylight
Yeah,
hours, you can go after them. You know, I mean,
And that's the thing. So, they're not gobbling. And here's the perfect scenario. We dealt with it a lot last year. Okay, birds aren't even gobbling on the roost, guys. I mean, they're not gobbling anywhere. They're not hitting the ground. They're just not gobbling at all. So, how do we feel like walking 6 miles is going to make any difference? I mean, I know we're hopeful, right, to hear the birds gobbling.
hoping you're going to strike him up. Yeah.
That's that hope in us. That's that desire to hear that turkey gobble, right? That even a courtesy gobble. But guys, that's where I encourage you to go back and utilize what you know, utilize what you learned. You know, turkeys are in the area. You just need to figure out where, if you were a turkey, would you want to be? You know, this time of year, you want to be close to a strutting zone or wherever the ladies are.
That's right.
Know that for a fact. We know that you're going to have to feed, or you're going to have to be around the food source at some point during the day.
That's right.
Maybe a watering hole. It could be something like that. Not so much for birds, but I mean, definitely your strutting zone, your feeding areas. And you know what? If it happens to be a food plot, because there's nothing that a turkey loves more than fresh bugs and clover. Clover.
Clover.
Plant something for your food plots to help recruit, develop, and promote deer and turkey, it's clover. I'm a big fan, proponent of variety, but varieties in clover is also a big proponent too, because you can also just maintain those and offer a little TLC, and you usually have a reoccurring crop that'll last good stand for 6 to 8
That's
years.
what I like about clovers. It come back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It will. And I'm not saying do all of your plots, because I believe that clover is tolerant to heavy browse, or grazing pressure, but not like your cereal grains. Cereal grains are also typically sweeter in taste, is more desired. But I've also seen plenty of times where deer and turkeys will walk over, a feed station or a pile of corn to get to a good stand of clover too. So.
Real quick, there's one more thing I want to ask you before we let you go. I know your time is important to us. And look, again, we really appreciate you coming on for us, Mark, and helping us get with Mr. Eddie, man. We enjoyed all of this conversation.
We appreciate it.
We owe you big time. But one more question. I know you being from the Alabama area, you got to be a team. Which one are you?
He's a Bammer.
He's a Bammer. All right.
Considering I developed that platform for Eddie with Dr. Lyle Kane, I would say I'm pretty strong Bama.
Pretty strong Bammer. That's all right. That's good stuff. Well, look, again, we wanted to thank you so much for coming on and talking turkey with us, and just we enjoyed the conversation. And I've got your information here on the screen. With Outfitter Depot, what you do with managing land and things like that. I got the number here is 205-281-3920. Call Mr. Marc Brenner if you're interested in getting some management done on your property, whether it's getting critters or you said you did a little bit of burning too, right? Things like that. So all kind of different things. Sure, if you have some questions, he'll be glad to answer them. And anything you think he can help you out with, he'd definitely do that. So again, Mr. Marc, we really appreciate you coming on.
You're welcome, guys. I really appreciate you having Eddie and I on today. And if there's anything we can ever do to help any of you guys, y'all let us know. Our social media, we're on social media as well. Y'all look us up on Facebook, like our page, follow our page, don't mind. And there's anything we can do. If you have a question about your property, about your management program, or just need a second opinion, It's only worth 2 cents, but we'll be happy to share it with you.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Man.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you, Mr.
appreciate
Mark.
it, man.
We appreciate you coming on.
All day.
You too.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one. All right, guys. That has been a long-winded one. I knew it would be, but man, it was some really good stuff. I mean, I was excited to talk to him. I hate that y'all couldn't have the the dialogue with Eddie because of the phone and technical difficulties. But like we said, we're turkey hunters. I told Eddie this. I said, look, we're turkey hunters who are learning to podcast. We're not podcasters who are learning to turkey hunt. So we got our IT department. We got to work with that.
You forget how good Eddie is at. Or people don't know. I was blind to it. I watched the shows and all that, but
yeah,
it was amazing just hearing him. He can paint that whole picture. He can tell you that freaking tree, that whatever it is that's
the
out
dogwood tree. Right? I was like, man, he's painting that picture.
I saw it. I could see the dogwood tree.
He's a freaking master, man.
Yeah,
you can tell him and Brenner's killed I don't know how many turkeys, and anyways, we I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, we're lucky to be able to have them on, man. That was a big deal. I appreciate you doing that, Chaz. I know you had the connection with Mark, and man, I give you you get credit for that one, no doubt about it. So we really appreciate that.
So Chaz did get credit. I didn't know if you were going to take credit or not.
I know, no. Yeah, I wish Chaz. I just took over the whole thing. Sorry. Here we go again.
No, I'm just glad we could.
I was worried. I was like,
issues.
what are we going to do?
He went to Realtree this morning, and then
yeah.
He's on his way back, and it turned into a phone call. So I was like,
y'all should have heard me doing the troubleshooting.
He's going to be in Florida, come.
Yeah, he's got you heard he's about to be in Red Bay, go do another thing. He's traveling. Been in Corinth. We saw him in NWTF. I mean, he's 70-ish years old, I think, and he is getting things done, man. You could tell he's still got the passion in his voice. He's still got it in, and I love hearing him do that hoot owl. That's his I forgot to ask him about the 10-inch beard. But
the hoot and his gobble.
His gobble's pretty good, natural with a natural voice. I was like, man, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid. But he's known for after he kills a turkey to do that hoot owl deal. It's kind of like is one of his trademarks. So I think that's pretty cool. But man, listening to Mark too talk about conservation and how to land management, I think that was good. I didn't realize this whole episode was Talk Turkey, and we've been at it about an hour. And
I forgot when they talked about one of them was going to Kansas.
That was his first kill. That was Mark's first time that Eddie
he killed
with
Eddie.
That's right.
Yeah,
are you
that
going to get the hunt?
Me about the therapy session we're supposed to have.
I've got it right here. I've got it on my.
Big draw that didn't go down for Adam. We were sitting around last week. Scott Pulowski, me and Patrick, Adam on big chat thread, and it was the draw day for the Kansas hunts. They changed it up this year, so you got to put in for a draw, and not only put in, but you got to win. So all of us started texting that evening because we saw our accounts get drafted. We're like, we're in. And then Scott looked into it deeper and was like, that's just the start of it. They're going to email you the next day. So here we are at work the next day. We're just freaking, hey, y'all hear anything yet? And finally it pinged on my phone. So I called Scott. His hadn't went. Patrick's and Eddie's hit. So we got 3 out of 5 that hit in Kansas to go kill. But look, me and Patrick and Scott and Eddie, all of us talked. Everything was great. Scott's going to get some footage for us. May go with Patrick or me or Eddie or whatever and help us. But Adam, per Summers' text that night in the Spurs, Spreads, and Snakes, Adam wasn't a happy camper. They called 5 or 6 times to the Kansas Wildlife, and long story short, throughout his psychosis, apparently now him and Scott are having to rent a car on the big turkey tour bus when we come up there. Somewhere we're going to pick up a rental.
Don't announce everybody my plan because I don't want them to take
because there's a zone somewhere. Yeah,
but there's still an opportunity. It's not over. I've called the wildlife department. We have got an opportunity still in there. don't worry about where that is, what unit that is, everyone, because I'm not telling.
But he was a little
Yeah, I
on
did.
the
Look,
edge that day. On the edge,
Talk him
he
off the
was.
Summer was
off the
like,
ledge again.
Adam is losing his mind right now. He is. I mean, I'm a little depressed about it. It wasn't a good situation. You know, the turkey tour is one of my favorite. Not only we're going to Texas, going to Florida, and all these great things, but the turkey tour is my favorite thing to do. And then we don't get drawn. Kansas decides they want to do some draw hunt now. You know, they don't
It's
want
a
you
team
non-residents
effort.
in there.
It's a team effort. If
Hey,
we can get 3 out of 5, go with us, Kansas. Still
I started
on
looking
up
up
to
immediately
Nebraska.
on that Hunt 49 app. I was like, what other states can I? I'm sorry, go Patrick. Your turn to talk.
can I ask a question?
Raise it. Yeah.
Was it? I think Adam may have. So when you're applying for the draw, there's a button to apply as an individual or apply as a group. That way,
I had already
the group doesn't
applied.
get drawn. And Scott said, "Hey, Adam, you can undo that when we'll go in as a group. That way, if we're all in, if one of us if we're either all in or we're all out." Adam's like, "No, I'm the first one in there. I'm gonna leave it."
I just felt like, no, what this is what really happened is that me and Scott actually killed, and they didn't want us. They don't want us killing. They didn't want the killers back over. That's all it is.
Hey,
Last year we killed.
it's gonna be all right, man. Look, it's gonna be all right. All right. And
Yeah.
look, this is what my money is on. My money's on that you end up with Eddie's tag.
I don't think they'll let me
My
do
money's
that.
on that.
You think they'll transfer a tag? I ain't looking into that.
I think you can manipulate it by the time we get there. You got.
I'll call the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Can
whatever
I change
Kansas.
it's just my father.
It's my dad.
Just
He's
put it-
not.
Eddie Ryan.
He's not been feeling
Adam
well.
That's coming. Because Scott called me that day when we were in the group text. He called me and was like, look, man, I'm all right. You know, I can film, I can do this, or help y'all or whatever. I said, I don't think Adam's good. I said, Scott, Adam's not good. I'm just telling you, man. Not good.
He ain't good. He's
not
gonna
well.
be. He's not well. Yeah, that's Patrick saying.
well.
I am not well.
Hey, I had my little pullover like that set out, and I guess we decided we were going to wash clothes today, so I can't find.
Oh yeah, that one.
I went and picked
Cleaning
mine up at
lady
the bottom
coming?
of the hamper this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, for the record,
in
that's where.
WTF.
For the record, that's where mine was. The bottom of the hamper as well.
Yeah.
It was actually bottom of the pile for sure.
Got missed. 100.
Yeah.
Blends in.
Yeah. It's all good. Yeah. You're. I can't see you, Patrick. You're off camera.
Renee tried to get me to wear just my vest. No shirt. Just sit here in my hunter's.
Where Renee?
In my turkey vest.
What's wrong with the snakes? God bless America. What kind of podcast is this?
I don't know.
Nah, guys, it's been fun though. I mean, talking with Eddie was great. Patrick.
Yes, Patrick.
Okay, ask a question. I just wanted to check with Chaz. He's big on giving a therapy session for Adam, but Austin P.
Austin.
Oh yeah, we're gonna touch base on college baseball.
Austin P comes over here to Starkville to arguably the nicest stadium in the country.
It is nice. It's not arguably. It is.
We went 0-2. It is the nicest one in the country. What are you talking about?
No, I said it is. I agreed. Now ours is way better than Florida's or anybody else's, but Mississippi State's is nice.
It's ours is nicer, more accommodating. Y'all may hold the same amount.
We just win over in Baton Rouge though more than anyone else.
We won in 21
at one time. That was a good one. Hey, you always got one.
Y'all, 48
all you guys, listen. You polished that one trophy you got all day long. You and Ole Miss and everybody else. Y'all just keep on. We got about 7 of them. Okay?
I want to say I didn't tune in, but I want to say Stony Brook.
They got one game out of it. They got one game. Mm-hmm. Did you see the 27
As
to
a whole, the
7
SEC
shellacking?
Starting out too good.
No, I'm kind of what Boomer, your brother Boomer, was saying something about all these middle teams seem to be. And the same thing in football, and I think they are coming with the transfer portal and things. It's evening things out just a little bit,
And I think when they come into LSU or they come into Starkville or Gainesville, I think when that player comes in, You reckon they want to get a scholarship offer from one of them?
Oh yeah, they want to show out. Yeah, they want to
No
show out.
playing.
Look what he did against
Get an
LSU
NIL
pitching.
deal. Hey, I
Yeah,
go 7 for 8 in this series. I get an NIL deal, and I
yeah,
get a scholarship to the University of
yeah,
Florida or Mississippi State or LSU. So I think that has they're playing for a lot. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Oh no,
Yeah.
you're right, man. That makes total sense. They're like, I want to come over here and be like these other baseball guys and get to hang out with LSU gymnasts, Livy Duns and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I
I
mean,
saw Paul Skeens at the gymnastics thing the other day. He was down there. Wind was
That's
like,
fun.
Paul,
Yeah,
Paul. He was screaming, trying to get his name, trying to get him to pay
you
attention.
come in there and you bat in the 1, 2, 3, 4 hole, for that
You're a celebrity.
Tuesday night game, that group of 5 team, and you ball. It's on.
Oh
They gonna
yeah.
call you.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I'm
That's
saying?
good stuff, man.
They gonna get with you. If you're hitting 95, 96, all that. Hey,
Hey, come on.
Ever since Chaz moved over there towards where they host the SEC baseball tournament at, State hadn't been there too many times.
They hadn't panned out.
My first year here, Ward and I went, and State had never had to do real good in this tournament over here, but
Nobody
we
really
always
cares
go
about the
'cause it's
SEC
good.
tournament anyway.
I've always said it's Omaha. I mean, all the SEC teams are so good. Everybody knows that they're the best in baseball for sure. And but last time I went, Ward and I were I looked up. I had a meeting the next morning in Birmingham. It was 1:15 in the morning, and we were in the 14th inning versus LSU. 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's like time to go.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I can't handle it. And by the time I got home, I cut on the TV and it was wrapping up. Then I forget which way it went, but that was my last time. So yes, State's been on a dry run, and I tell you,
Yeah, what's the coach's name? Lamonis.
Lamonis,
right
yeah.
now, as of right now. But man, they are calling for his head right now. Your other coach was like having an affair with somebody or something, and he got fired. And Canizaro, I saw something that some guy said.
Lamonis,
his girlfriends can manage the second and third inning right now. I don't care. Just bring him back.
Lamonis won the title with Canizaro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're big time on him right now. And I'm not quite there yet, but
I'm not quick
to
I think they gave him a last year and hoping all the fans, they're passionate about college baseball. I realize the rest of the country, they may not understand.
They got to have something to be passionate about.
You're right.
Relevant in football. How long's it been over there? Seriously,
it's been a while. I mean, we thought Muschamp was going to be your guy, and then that didn't work. And the shark guy.
Hey, if you want to retire, you're going to have a terrible name. Okay, you're going to have a terrible football name, but I tell you what, you're going to retire rich. You're going to get your 3 years done at Florida right now, and they'll put you on the fast track to retirement. Look at Dan Mullen.
Dan Mullen. That's right.
The last 3 or 4 coaches over there, besides Urban Meyer, he retired on his own. But ever since then, it's been a freaking problem over there in the swamp. And so, anyway.
We were in Atlanta 4 years ago. So.
Oh, God, guys. I hadn't been recording this whole time.
It's recording.
No, I'm fine. I'm
I've been checking it.
Yeah. I didn't know it showed that you were okay. All right,
yeah,
I thought I was going to get you on that one. All right, go ahead.
What
were you saying, Patty?
I wasn't going to let you not get Eddie.
I was trying to get you on that one. Yeah. I was like, oh, God. What were you saying, Patty?
I don't. Yeah, Chaz's turn.
Chaz wants to
hadn't been a good for the weekly checkup on the Bammers.
What is happening over there?
Hadn't been good. Well, they can. Their commentator. I'm drawing a blank.
Eli Gold.
Yeah, Eli Gold's done.
Eli Gold.
They canned him. I thought he had cancer or something. He was in bad health.
And he came back, and he's going to have this miraculous return. I think he called a few games, maybe at the end of last year, or maybe tagged along or something.
Yeah. He wasn't doing the away game.
Now, with the OG Bammers over here around Birmingham, they don't like that.
No.
For one, they got the go.
You're either all in or you're out. The guy's got cancer. Give him a break.
This guy called 7 national titles. You know what I'm saying? They just can't.
And is a Bammer true and through in and throughout, buddy.
But
when you
the
listen
AD
to that,
for the university came out and let everybody know they were letting him go, and I don't think they let him know. And then they circled around back to him, and now he's doing radio shows there's disconnect there. I don't know what happened.
Let's have him on.
Ooh.
Can we get him on? Can we get Eli Gold on?
I bet you could get him on right
I
now.
want to
'Cause
hear
he's loving to talk about it. Anything
Yeah,
here.
So
get
you-
it out there.
Matter of fact, he got a new gig. One of these semi-pro football teams or something. But I bet he
Hey
would
guys, Spudsy Nation out there, guys. If you know anybody that can connect us to Eli Gold,
talk. We got a bone to pick with him. I
we
need to
want to
holler
talk
at
to.
him.
We would love to talk to Eli Gold. Yeah, we want to holler at old Eli. I've got a lot to talk about with him. Spudsy Nation. That's a new thing. That's what we're calling. You know, now that the podcast has been doing all the what was my wife always says, Spurs and Spuds.
What is the analytics doing? I hadn't had a chance to.
We are still top like 15% in all. Now it's like 15% of all new podcast listeners. So it has been doing really, really well. Everything's growing. I mean, being that we started this thing, 18 days ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey,
You know, we've had Eddie Salter on, the CEO of Apex. Caleb, do what now?
that reminds me too. Did you hear Brenner talk about the finger edge?
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that
I like
that's it.
Chisholm's text. We need to get that up on the screen.
That was.
on
I think
this
that was
podcast.
some Chat
like
GPT. I think that was some artificial intelligence.
Oh, I didn't see
That was
that.
pretty good.
It was
Did I
very
miss-
detailed. Yeah, it was very.
That was
detailed.
probably something when I probably would. I was probably doing something. I missed that text. Anyway, guys, anything else y'all want to add before we shut this thing down? Before we wrap it up,
Yeah.
guys, this has been a good one. This has been a fun one. I know it's been a little longer than we normally do, but we had some guys on that everybody. We weren't going to make them stop. So they were so good that I wanted to hear what they had to say, and man, we were very fortunate to have them on. And again, guys, thank y'all for the support. By the way, I've been forgetting to do this. If you are a listener, please go on Spotify, go on Apple, follow, whatever it is, go on YouTube channel. We have Spurs and Spreads on YouTube, Spurs and Spreads with a Z. Go on there and subscribe to our channel, like it. Look, we appreciate everything. YouTube's just kind of getting kicked off, but please go on, follow, like, whatever. Oh, and rate us. 5 stars, obviously. Yeah, that's what we need.
And thank you again, Marc Brenner, Eddie Salter.
Thank you again, Marc Brenner.
Thank y'all.
Look, we appreciate those are 2 class act guys, man, and we are very fortunate to have them on. And that is a wrap.